Alright, here we go. Tonight's build is going to be a fuel pump from a WR650. Again, this is coming from our Yahmaha water vehicles shop manual 1987 and 1992, and we're working on that fuel pump for the jet ski and the WR650 model. It's a pretty interesting build. Got some complicated maneuvers, a couple of issues with gaskets, and things that we need to be aware of. For instance, we don't want to disassemble the fuel pump body unless it's absolutely necessary. There are many gaskets that should be replaced whenever the fuel pump gets disassembled, and you get the replacement gaskets before you take apart the fuel pump, so make sure that you have that. It's a pulse operating diaphragm type that's integral with the carburetor housing, so all the more important to change out those gaskets. And you got to disconnect the hose and the tube at the fuel pump in order to take care of this one. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. We've got our schematics right here. On this one, I've actually never done one of these before, so this should be an interesting build. Looks like we're going to start with part number 5. Let's see, we got part number 5 right here. Let's see if we can bring the light over, get a little bit better light into this. Maybe I have to make some adjustments with the camera. There we go. We're going to start with pump number 5. Or part number 5, excuse me. That's the cover. Alright, so we're going to start with the cover. And from there, we're going to need part 6, that's a diaphragm, and part 7, the gasket, to come in on top of that. That's a little tricky here. We got part 6 that's going to hold right there. And part 7, the gasket's going to go right up on top of it, right? And we want to make sure these stay in place. So what I'm going to do today is actually remove these and apply a little bit of glue to the back so that we can actually have a secure diaphragm and gasket here as we part number 6 right there, and number 7, that gasket's going to go on top. Oops. Don't need much glue for this, just a little bit, just enough to get it to stick. And then you can always use your razor blade to make sure it sits in on top. Now that we got those laid on top there, we're going to need some bolts to put these together. We're going to start talking about part number 1, part number 2, part number 3, and of course part number 4 here. What we've got, we're looking at a screw, a washer, a screw, and a washer. Now these go on the top and the bottom. So let's first put the washer on here on the screw right here. That's going to slide right up into that point right there, so we don't lose it. And then we're going to do the same here with washer from number 4. Apply a little glue and put that in. These are going to slide in behind here, so we might as well get a little bit of glue on those as well. And we're going to go ahead and, whoops, get a little, put that right in there. Just like that. Let's get part 3 and 4 down here on the bottom. These two are gonna, I like Elmer's all-purpose glue stick. It's a good glue stick for all purposes, and this being a purpose of that, we're gonna slide that right in there behind. Set that in like that. We're gonna move back up here to part 2 and part 1. You get a little bit of Elmer's glue on there. You don't need much, but you definitely do need some. So here we go, we'll apply that there. Enough glue on the washer and the screw. Just gonna go ahead and slide that in behind here on the top. Let's make sure we get that in the right spot. Press it down to keep it in. There we go. We got part 1 and 2 in there, part 3 and 4, part 5, 6, and 7. Now, of course, we're going to move to set this aside for the time being. We're going to slide that up here, up, whoop. This, and slide that up there for the time being. Because then we're going to move on to part number 11. Now, part number 11 is the body. It's pretty fun part here. Let's see if we can zoom in on that. There's a lot of interesting things going on with this one from the front and the back, and we'll get to that momentarily. We're going to first use part 8 and 9 to go into 11. I know what you're thinking. That sounds like it's a little bit out of sequence, but trust me, I think this is going to be the right way to approach it. We got part 8, which is a screw, and part 9, which is a check valve. Now, if you're looking at this way, you got part 8 and 9, but then you also have part 9 coming in here on the other side. And you also have a couple of nuts, right? So this nut here in the back, which is part 10. Got 8, 9, and 10 there. And you got part 9 and 10 again on the other side. So it might get a little confusing. You got 2 9s and 2 10s, and you wonder why they did that, but I think we can figure this out. So let's get to it. All right. Let's put part 8, the screw, through the check valve. I'm going to apply some glue to the back of the check valve. Make sure that we get this covered. Right there on that screw to number 8. They line up quite nicely. Now the number 10, the nut is actually going to come from the other side. So what we can do is take this nut from the other side. And actually, when we thread this through, this is actually going to come through in the back this way. Right through there. We're going to take this nut and secure that right here. So we have part 10 that's actually going to secure all that together now. This 10 here is actually going to go on the back just the same. We'll apply a little bit of glue to that one. You can hold this behind here. Oh, guess that wasn't on tight enough. Let's go ahead and reapply some glue to that. Whoop. Uh-oh, falling apart here with the body. Still got the nut on there, so let's go ahead and just place that back. Get the nut up on top. There we go. Get the nut here in the back. There we go. Here we're going to apply some glue liberally to this one because we saw how the other ones didn't stick. And put that one, looks like right about there is where it's going to go. And then we got part 9 and part 8 again. Looks like I'm missing another part 8. Part 8 is going to be that screw. Just give me a second and we'll produce one of those here. Part 8 looks like a regular Phillips head screw. Phillips head is the kind of the cross in it. You know, it's got like a cross at the top of the screw. Alright, here we go. Almost there. There we go. Alright, we got a nice part number 8 right here. You can see that screw came out quite nicely. Since we already have the nut in the back, we might as well put put part number 9, that check valve, in here. Get a little bit of glue on that. Go ahead and put the check valve in right there under part number 10. It's right in there like that, and then we need that screw that's going to connect back into part number 10, the back side. So that's going to go right through there into the screw, like so. There we go. Check valve, part number 8. Make sure this all comes up without any interference. Again, we want to work making sure that we're not adhering this to our work surface. That would kind of defeat the purpose of what we're doing. And there, now that we have the body put together, we're gonna have to insert the spring. This is where it might get a little tricky. We're actually gonna set this one here off to the side just the same. Zoom back out. Put these two up here, so we got these two parts. Then we're gonna start working for part 16, which is the cover. And we're gonna work with part 15, 14, 13, and 12. Those are the two that are the 5 pieces that we have left. Let's start with part 16, 15, and 14. This cover is gonna go on top of everything, right? So let's work with part 14 and actually apply part 15, 14 being the diaphragm and part 15 being the gasket on top. So again, liberally apply some glue on that. We're gonna go ahead and just set that over top here. And you'll see that this lines up quite nicely with 16. It's gonna come in right over here like that. So I'm actually gonna work, zoom in so you can get a better detail on what I'm doing. I'm gonna go ahead and liberate. All right, back at it. Sorry about that. Kind of had a little bit of a storage issue there. We got part 14 and 15 lined up. Well, that's gonna go on part 15 here in a second. But now we're gonna reintroduce the 2 other parts that we made and get the spring attached here to part 13, which is the spring seat. So the spring is going to go right in here on top of the check valve. Let's go ahead and get that taken care of. You got the spring coming through here. Part 12 is going to go right there. Line that up. There we go. Let's get that check valve, or the the spring seat set right on top. There we go, nice and secure. Now with all of that done, we're gonna move these 2 on top of here. I'll show you what this is gonna look like here at the finished product, and then we're gonna go ahead and those are gonna go on top here. We got our gaskets lining up here with 13, 14, and we got our, I think this is what we're looking at here. We got our cover just like that. So that's what we're going for right there. Let's go ahead and start putting it together. I'm going to go ahead and apply some glue here to the back of this. So we got our gasket, make sure that that sticks. Go ahead and put our, let's see, go ahead and put the body right lined up on top of that here. Perfect. I mean, that looks good. That is right where it needs to be. Make sure that cap sits there on the top. Let's get a little more glue on that to make sure it stays. Last thing we want to have to do is take this all apart and start all over. There we go. There we go. Get this right on top of that spring. Oh, that looks good. And home stretch right here, we're going to go ahead and just liberally apply some glue to the back of this because this is going to cover it all. This part here is really satisfying. You got the cover, it's going to go right on top like that. And we are set. I mean, that feels like a good day right there. Got it all taken care of. We're looking at the fuel pump for the WR650. It's a pretty good rebuild. Really excited about that one. Make sure you stay tuned. Keep checking back. Subscribe to the channel and share this with your friends so that they can get educated as well. Having a great time doing this and sharing some of the knowledge that I have on these parts and showing you how to put them together. Till the next time, thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe. Thank you.